Hello everyone and welcome to my first Old School RuneScape progress video. In this video I'm going to tell you all about why I'm playing Old School RuneScape, what I've accomplished so far, and what my goals are for my main account. Before we get into anything, I wanted to mention that the username of my main account on Old School RuneScape is New Balance and not Regicidal. Regicidal is one of my original RuneScape accounts and the one that I actively play RuneScape 3 on. When I started playing Old School, I didn't want to use that account and not be able to play RuneScape 3. So since I use a different account, I can now play both RuneScape 3 and Old School at the same time. I figured I'd let you all know that so everyone doesn't comment,
"Why aren't you playing on Regicidal?
And
who is this New Balance guy?"
Now throughout this video, I'll be showing random videos of me skilling as well as various screenshots of me leveling up and completing quests. The reason why I don't have any of this stuff filmed is because I never really planned on making Old School RuneScape videos, which leads me into my first talking point. Why am I playing Old School RuneScape?
Lee, I thought you only played RuneScape 3.
False, my friend. False. When Old School RuneScape was rumored to release and the petition started going around, I wasn't super interested in it, mainly because I was still enjoying the main version of RuneScape, and I was never really nostalgic about the old graphics or old combat system. I understood the updates that took place to further progress the game, and I just kept going with it. However, I did use my second account to log into Old School on its release in 2013 to see how it was. I walked around, admired all of the old graphics that I grew up with, leveled up, did a few quests, and ultimately logged out after a few days of dabbling with it. I went right back to playing RuneScape 3. Then a few months later, Old School RuneScape was set to release the God Wars Dungeon, one of my favorite pieces of content of all time. Fun fact, at that time I was working for Jagex, and I was helping out the Old School RuneScape team while they were looking for community managers. I actually edited how do you say edited damn, said I'm back again to whoop the blick of blast from the ratchet man. Shout out to Jid. I actually edited a video trailer for the God Wars update. I'm not sure if it was put on Facebook or YouTube or if they did anything with it, but that was something that I helped out with. Anyways, when it came out, I decided to log back in and see if I could get my levels up. After 2 weeks of trying to get my account to a point where I could do God Wars, I realized that I didn't have many Old School playing friends that would even do it with me, and the grind got kind of stale. Fast forward a couple years later to when I found out about gold swapping, that there were people that would take your gold on either RuneScape 3 or Old School, and after figuring out an exchange rate, they would give you the amount back in the other version of the game. At the time that I heard about it, the exchange rate was something like 10 mil in RuneScape 3 being worth 1 mil in Old School RuneScape, which is when it hit me. If I could level up my Old School RuneScape account to Solo or Duo General Grardor, I could make bank for my RuneScape 3 account to use. At the time, Tacits were around 38 mil, and a Bandos plate was about 30 mil, which means if I got a Solo Tacits drop in Old School, that's 380 mil in RuneScape 3. Now the rates are a little bit different now, I believe it's 6.5 mil for 1 mil, which is RS3 to Old School, but it was absolutely insane back then. So that's when I really started to work on my Old School account. I got a Fighter's Torso, Fire Cape, was completing quests, had Mithril Gloves from RFD, leveled up my combat stats, etc. After getting around 85 combat, 100 quest points, and a few pieces of good gear, I came to the same conclusion that I did a few years back, that I didn't have many friends who played or that would boss with me, and the grind was extremely long. So I stopped for the last time without picking it up until November of 2020. A few real-life friends of mine, shout out to Anthony and Alex, were playing Old School RuneScape and they kept messaging me saying,
"Come play with us."
I hadn't touched my account in ages, but I knew that I could probably jump along with whatever they were doing because I left my account in a decent spot. They were planning on doing Desert Treasure, a quest that I hadn't done yet, and one that I needed for RFD for Barrow's Gloves. So I logged in, finished off the requirements that I needed for it with them, and then later that week, we did Desert Treasure. After that, I realized, hey, I have some friends that actually play Old School RuneScape and are around my level, the grind might not be as bad now, and I'm actually having fun this time around. So I set some goals for myself, started achieving them, hung out with my friends, and genuinely enjoyed the grind. In the first month of me playing Old School, I had a few other friends from RuneScape 3 join me in playing Old School, such as my friend Adam, and I learned that some friends that I used to play RuneScape with back in the day were playing Old School now, like my friend Zach. Fast forward to present day, 4 months later from when I started playing again, and I'm still playing Old School RuneScape and having a blast. I have skill goals, quest goals, item goals, and so much more. That's the reason why I don't have any footage of me completing Desert Treasure, or RFD, or getting my first Fire Cape, because my Old School journey was always just a side project that I never planned on creating content around. However, now, I figured since this is something that I'm doing a lot of in my spare time, why not make content around it? People love old school content, which was no secret, but after releasing my 3 things Old School RuneScape and RuneScape 3 need from each other video, I recognize how many people are still out there wanting to support and enjoy good content. Believe it or not, when I came back to Old School at the end of November 2020, my account only had a 1200 total level and only 7 stats over level 70. This is the oldest screenshot that I have from when I returned, and this is a little bit after the fact because when I came back, I only had 55 crafting and 52 prayer, not 70 in both like I do in this screenshot. Which leads me to my next talking point. What have I accomplished on Old School RuneScape so far? So up until this first episode, which technically dates back to December of 2020, since I've been playing a lot and recording all of my progress as I go along, I've been backlogging a lot of things, but I've achieved nearly 70 in every stat, just missing thieving and rune crafting. One of my goals was to get the stats needed for every quest in the game, hence why I got a majority of my stats to 70. I finished some of the pillar quests such as Recipe for Disaster, Desert Treasure, Monkey Madness, Lunar Diplomacy, Dream Mentor, the Fremennik Exiles, and more. At this point, I'm currently sitting at around 200 quest points, and I haven't completed any of the endgame quests like Monkey Madness 2, Dragon Slayer 2, Sins of the Father, or Song of the Elves yet. In terms of gear, I've unlocked full Agile, a Fire Cape, Fighter's Torso, and Barrow's Gloves like I said earlier. Also, when I decided that I was going to seriously play my main on Old School RuneScape, I swapped over some money from my RuneScape 3 account to fund some of my skill goals and to have some good weapons and armor to start with. So I have items such as a whip, full bandos, primordials, carills, a blowpipe, and more. Remember, this is my main Old School RuneScape account, something that I have never had before, and I wanted to get it to a point where I can do endgame things, which I'll talk about more in the goals section. If I wanted to get everything from scratch and have that unique experience, I would have started in Iron Man, which is still something that I may do in the future. Which leads me into my last talking point. What are the goals that I've set for my main account on Old School RuneScape? Since this is my first time experiencing Old School RuneScape and the only account that I have, there's so many things that I want to achieve and that I'm looking forward to. I still have so much to learn about this game because although it is a similar experience to the game that I'm used to, there is so many new pieces of content, new quests, and new items that I'm unfamiliar with. Things like killing bandos and doing God Wars for the first time, as well as getting my first 99, are going to be fun and special moments for me. However, my goals for this account are as follows. 1. Unlock the Quest Cape. 2. Level up construction and have a fully loaded player-owned house. 3. Upgrade my gear to get all of the best in slot items that I don't have. 4. Level up combat enough to be able to take on raids and boss at the highest caliber. 5. Unlock the Infernal Cape. And 6. Max out my account. These are all pretty standard goals, but once again, this is my only Old School account and it's my main. I'm way behind since this game has now been out for 8 years, so I have a lot of catching up to do, but I'm super excited about the grind. So as I make my progress through Old School RuneScape, I will be sharing my journey with you through these progress videos. You should expect to see my experiences with doing new things that I've never done in Old School, as well as taking steps towards each of the 6 big goals that I've set for myself with each episode that is uploaded. However, that concludes episode number 1 of my Old School RuneScape progress. I just wanted episode 1 to be a quick video explaining the series and cluing you all in. I hope that you're all looking forward to seeing the next episode, and if you are, please leave a like on this video. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss out on when the next episode is uploaded. Lastly, since my subscribers are ancient, and most of you probably don't know what the notification bell is, make sure you turn on that notification bell after you subscribe so that you're notified whenever I upload. Only about 2% of my subscribers have them turned on currently, which is just nuts. With that being said, that's all for this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later, everyone.
Drop into the scene like malls on a pile of loot. Expensive taste, got a pair of every Cerberus boot. I'll even kill a noob in rune, pick the low-hanging fruit. You won't know my strength till your body goes limp. Word,